Bathroom Breaks and Bedtime Tales presents Operation Puppet Master by Sevastian Winters. June 10, 1982, Pentagon, Washington, D.C. Brigadier General Raymond P. Calloway was one report away from a goddamn aneurysm. The buzzing fluorescent lights overhead felt like they were drilling into his skull, a constant, high-pitched whine that grated on his nerves. His desk was a war zone. Memos stamped urgent, reports stacked in precarious towers, intelligence briefings bristling with bad news. But this report, the one clenched in his fist like an incendiary device, was the worst. Illiteracy rates among new recruits had reached 25%. 1 in 4 soldiers could not fully comprehend the written orders placed in front of them. Calloway inhaled sharply, flipping through the data again. It was worse than expected. Not just numbers, stories. A recruit who mistook disarm for detonate. Another who couldn't read the warning label on a Claymore mine and damn near killed himself. A soldier who signed an equipment log with an X. This wasn't an embarrassment. It was a national security crisis. There was a sharp knock at his door. "Enter," he barked. Major Gerald Dunn, his most reliable officer, stepped in, the lines on his face taut with something close to dread. He had a file tucked under his arm. "We have a solution, sir," Dunn said. Calloway exhaled through his nose. "If you tell me it's more goddamn remedial workbooks—" "It's not." Dunn stepped forward, setting the dossier on the desk like it held classified nuclear codes. "Sir, I need you to take this seriously." Calloway glared at him, then opened the file. Inside was a full briefing on a children's television show, Learning Junction. His stomach twisted. No. He flipped through the pages, barely able to process the numbers in front of him. Retention rates, cognitive engagement studies, data proving that preschoolers learned more from this show than from an entire year of structured education. Calloway stared at the brightly colored images, smiling puppets, big block letters, animated sing-alongs. His jaw tightened. "Tell me you're joking." Dunn straightened. "Sir, they're the best in the world at teaching literacy. Their methods work, better than the damn school system. If we don't adapt, we fail." Calloway closed his eyes, rubbed his temples. God help him. He picked up the phone. "Get me a meeting with these people." June 18, 1982, Learning Junction Studios, New York City. The smell hit Calloway first. Crayons, glue, something sickly sweet, like fake fruit juice and old coffee. Too bright, too colorful. The kind of place that could drive a man to insanity. He strode into the conference room, flanked by Major Dunn and 2 other Pentagon men, all in full uniform. The chairs were plastic. The walls were lined with hand-drawn alphabet posters, felt puppets hanging like lifeless sentinels. Calloway resisted the urge to rub his temples. This is madness. Across the table sat Margaret Harper, head of Learning Junction, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and the posture of someone who suffered no fools. Beside her was Hal Whitman, the show's producer, a lanky man in a Hawaiian shirt so hideous it could trigger an international incident. Whitman held a coffee mug shaped like a duck. Calloway wanted to punch him. Harper folded her hands. So, the Pentagon wants to talk to Learning Junction. Yes, Calloway said, his voice tight. We have a problem, and we believe you can solve it. Whitman took a slow sip of coffee. Is it nap time? Calloway's teeth ground together. These people weren't taking him seriously. He inhaled sharply, then placed the briefing file on the table. He tapped it once. 1 in 4 of our recruits can't read at a functional level. We need them to absorb critical information fast, and we need it to stick. Your show has an unprecedented success rate with literacy education. We need your methodology. Whitman blinked. Wait, you want Learning Junction to train the Army?
Yes.
Harper squinted. Are you suggesting we use puppets to train soldiers? Calloway felt his patience fraying. Not puppets. We need your techniques, the repetition, the engagement, the way you simplify information. Whitman leaned back, rubbing his chin. So, a phonics boot camp? Calloway's fingernails dug into his palm. Harper exhaled, shaking her head. General, you understand that most of us are pacifists, right? We teach preschoolers. We're not in the business of military training. Calloway could feel it slipping away. He knew how to fight, how to command, how to win. But this was losing. We can pay, he said. Harper shook her head. That's not the issue. Calloway clenched his jaw. Then what is? Harper sighed, looking at him like she was speaking to a very slow student. We teach kids, she said, kids who love colors, music, friendly characters. We're not equipped to teach grown men how to disassemble a rifle. Whitman shrugged. Unless you want a singing M16. Calloway snapped. This isn't funny, he growled. His voice cut through the room like a blade. This is a national security crisis. We came to you because we believed in your expertise. But if you're going to mock us, we'll take our business elsewhere. General, said one of the puppeteers at the table, you're perhaps not understanding. Taking your business elsewhere is exactly what we think you should do. Silence. Harper held up a hand to stop the chief puppeteer from speaking. She exhaled, then shook her head. I'm sorry, General, but I'm afraid he's right. Learning Junction can't help you. Calloway stood. His chest was tight with fury. He was not accustomed to being rejected. But a man of war, he also knew when he'd lost. He nodded once, curtly. Thank you for your time. Then he walked out the door as the people at the table he'd left turned their attention back to the education of preschoolers. Preschoolers, he huffed to himself. I gave them an opportunity to be part of something important, to do something for their country. And they chose preschoolers? These people just don't get it. They'll never be any more important than they are right now. Such a waste. July 2nd, 1982, Pentagon, Washington, D.C. Calloway sat at his desk, staring at the final report. The meeting had been a failure. Learning Junction had refused to participate. The problem still existed. The crisis hadn't gone away. He exhaled slowly, rubbing his temples, staring at the words that wouldn't fix themselves. In another world, one where things had gone differently,
Maybe there existed a military boot camp where recruits learned combat strategy from a puppet. Maybe there was a version of this conversation where the Pentagon got its answer, where the war on illiteracy didn't feel as hopeless as the war on anything else. But that world was not this one. He locked the report in his desk, stood up, moved on. But Calloway was just beginning. The simple repetition, the rhythm, the way learning junction made words stick in the minds of preschoolers, that stayed with him. He didn't know it yet, but he had the answer he needed. His instincts were right, and, in time, the military would create its own system for increasing literacy among the troops based on what he learned from watching the learning junction on TV. Author's note: this story is based on true events. In 1982, the U.S. Department of Defense formally approached the producers of Sesame Street to consult on using their educational techniques to improve literacy rates among new military recruits. The Pentagon, facing a crisis where nearly 1 in 4 recruits struggled to read at a functional level, believed that Sesame Street's groundbreaking approach to education, using repetition, music, engaging visuals, and structured reinforcement, could be applied to military training. The producers of Sesame Street ultimately declined the request, stating that their mission was early childhood education, not military instruction. However, the Pentagon later did find a way to go it alone, and they incorporated educational television strategies into some of its literacy and training programs, taking inspiration from the effectiveness of Sesame Street's methods. But this moment, this brief, bizarre intersection of children's television and national defense, is just one example of Sesame Street's unparalleled influence on American society. As it turns out, they were pretty important after all. Nearly 500 million people alive today learned some of what they learned early in their lives from this one remarkable show. And in case you wondered, today's story has been brought to you by the letter C for cool.